Hello everybody, Opie here. Welcome to today's video where we will be talking about the 7 forms of lightsaber combat throughout the entirety of Star Wars, starting with Form 1 all the way down to Form 7, and that's pretty much it. So, we're going to be going on with all of this. I already did the shorts if you're interested in that, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and let's get on with it. So first off, we got 4-1, also known as Chi Sho, also known as the Way of the Sarlacc, the Determination form, etc. This is the most basic ass lightsaber form that you could learn as a Padawan learner. This is literally taught to every single individual that knows how to use a lightsaber in the entirety of the Jedi Order. This lightsaber form is so basic that everybody learns it, everybody knows it, and it's the easiest to master. Which also kind of makes it the most deadly. Because if you pit somebody who is a Form 1 user, mastered, versus another individual who has no mastery over any of the other forms, you're kind of in for a rough time as it is. But that also leads to its greatest weakness. It's a very simple technique. It's a very simple form of lightsaber combat that usually people can't really defend against with because it's so basic that everybody knows all the techniques and everybody knows all of the ways to maneuver around it. Also, given the fact that this form has been around for well over, say, 10,000 years, ever since the start of the Jedi Order, it's very well rounded. It's very well knowledge in the form of lightsaber combat. Everybody knows it. Everybody's mastered it. You have to master it as like a requirement to become a knight anyway. So it's very simple and it's not really recommended for fighting unless you're fighting people who don't have any experience in lightsaber combat. That's the best option that you can throw out there. The next form of lightsaber combat is the second form, which is called Form 2, known as the Makashi, the Way of the Asamari, and the Contention form. Which, okay, so this changes almost everything that we know about lightsaber combat. This is specifically a dueling form of lightsaber combat, meant for lightsaber on lightsaber combat, and is, of course, very efficient over Shisho's wild, sweeping movements and unpredictable nature. Meanwhile, this form of lightsaber combat is precise, it's elegant. It's like Count Dooku using Form 2 while Anakin was using Form 1, 4, 5, and he was unexperienced in all those other forms. Using Form 2 in a lightsaber contest is not only about your precision and your accuracy, but it's also about your temperament and about your ability to not only land precision strikes, but also to manage to outmaneuver your opponent in every way, shape, or form. It's a very, very, very maneuverable and very precise form, and probably one of the best in Star Wars when it comes to actual dueling. I mean, Count Dooku over here, with Form 2, was able to not only defeat Asajj Ventress, but 2 other Night Sisters while in his pajamas. That is fucking awesome. Form 3 comes in later, because now Form 3 is Surisu, also known as the Way of the Mynock and the Resilience form, and it was created for one purpose and one purpose only. People started getting guns. Because blasters were so prevalent throughout the entirety of the galaxy at this moment in time, people needed a way to defend from blasters. They needed to use a new form for specific blaster-based combat that they couldn't contend with because they were so, far away from their targets while their targets were trying to blast them with blasters. So they created Form 3 for ranged combat where they could actually deflect blaster bolts back to their target. It's actually really cool. And of course, one of the most notable individuals of this form, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Who would have thought it? And of course, because Form 3 is more for a ranged target assailant, Form 2 was obviously very combative against it because of its difference in quality. Form 3 was meant for blaster bolts, Form 2 was meant for dueling. So obviously you can't put a ranged defensive ability versus a close range offensive attack ability. That's not going to collide very well, and of course the Form 2 would always come out on top. The next form on our list is Form 4, also known as Ataru, the Way of the Hawkbat, and the Aggression form. Form 4 is effectively the most acrobatic and the most athletic form of lightsaber combat that you could find yourself using. Effectively using the Force to enhance your natural abilities, such as your movement speed, your agility, and your perception, giving you the ability to effectively fight multiple opponents at once through using massive acrobatics, but it is mostly used for single combat, given the fact that it works very well in confined spaces and allows you to use your enhanced maneuverability, agility, and movement speed to easily overpower a single opponent through fast-paced action and reflexes. With, of course, one of the most notable individuals using this form being Yoda, who was so maneuverable and so athletic in his tiny stature that he was able to take on not only Count Dooku, but also Palpatine at the end of the Clone Wars, and tear his way through multitudes of clone troopers at once. The next form is Form 5, also known as DMSO, the Way of the Crate Dragon, the Perseverance form, and Shien. Effectively, the fifth form of lightsaber combat was originally created off of the third form of lightsaber combat, because individuals who used Form 3 felt that the defensively minded form unnecessarily expended time in combat by forcing its users to wait for an opportunity to strike rather than create openings of their own. So Form 5 took over that position by effectively creating power moves and powerful strikes capable of creating openings, wearing down opponents, and making sure that once you hit them and you hit them hard, you create an opening and then you go for the kill. Most practitioners of this form didn't really go for that necessarily, but Anakin Skywalker, who was one of the masters of Form 5, was so effective in this matter that he nearly beat Count Dooku multiple times just by overpowering him through sheer ferocity and sheer strength. But of course, Form 5 also has a different variant called Shien, which was considered the classic variation of Form 5 and was more adept at blocking blaster bolts rather than being used for blade-to-blade combat. And Anakin Skywalker mastered both variations, both DMSO and Shien, very effectively during the Clone Wars. Form 6, also known as Niman, the Way of the Rancor, the Moderation form, and the Diplomat's form, was a fighting style that was a hybrid martial art that was effectively created by combining the elements of other preceding lightsaber forms into a single generalized form, effectively taking forms 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and managing to combine them all to create a new hybrid formation to where it would have all the advantages of using all of the forms, but could also have the effect of not really being that reliable on the battlefield because you would have to change the stature of your form depending on how you would use it. Though one of the advantages of Form 6 was the fact that you could manage to use the Force to be able to create enhanced attacks like using Force Push, Telekinesis, and other various Force abilities to give yourself an advantage during head-on-head combat. But of course, the most effective way to use this form would probably be to use dual blades, so, there's that. And one of the most notable individuals to actually use Form 6 is, of course, our golden boy, Exar Kun. Bless Exar Kun. Form 7 is where we finally get into the more controversial aspects of lightsaber forms, and that is with Juyo, also known as the Veracity form, also known as the Way of the Vorskner. Juyo was created thousands of years before the Battle of Yavin and is considered to be one of the most taboo forms of lightsaber combat due to, well, its veracity. But there was a secondary variation of Form 7 that was created by Mace Windu, later known as Vapad. Vapad focuses on having restful internal conflict and to absorb the dark side of the Force so you can reflect it back at your enemies. This would be one of the most powerful and one of the most insane forms of lightsaber combat that anybody could ever see, but unfortunately its master died along with it, and the form known as Juyo would be looked down upon simply for being seen as too taboo, and knowledge of Form 7 became restricted among the Jedi Order, and many members who used Form 7 were more afflicted by the dark side of the Force. And that's all the forms of lightsaber combat we have. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit that notification bell, that subscribe button, share for more, and if you want to check out my other videos if wanting to. And also make sure to watch the other lightsaber form videos that I threw on here. Until then, I'll see you later.